My name is Okisegere Ojepat. I'm the CEO for Fresh Produce Consortium of Kenya, an association that brings together value chain actors in the fresh produce industry, farmers, aggregators, exporters, and all value chain, including the processors in the fresh produce industry for fruits, vegetable, herbs, spices, and flowers. We have a concern on the e-teams and the frustration that we are going through when it comes to the avocado farmers and the business of avocado since the implementation of the e-teams by the government of Kenya through KRA. It's unfortunate that the farmers are now required to pay 3% of their 3% of their levy tax of their produce that is being taxed through what is called an e-teams system. What is happening at the moment is that farmers are now required to generate an e-teams through their phones. Unfortunately, most of these farmers do not have an enabled phones to be able to be a tech savvy. And even if they had, it is not in their business to be technical in that. They are not technical in that area. And for them to be able to generate an e-teams receipt so that they can be able to release their cargo to an aggregator or our exporters that are actually buying from them. It has become very difficult in the last few days, particularly from 1st of March, when we also opened our main avocado season. Farmers in Mount Kenya region, farmers in Rift Valley, and farmers in the Lower Eastern are resisting to give the exporters their produce because they are unable to generate an e-teams. There is not a clear explanation of how this 3% and 5% of the farmers' produce, this percentage is going to be remitted to government. The government has not come out very openly to explain. But what is paining so much is that there's nothing much that the government has done, and they're not explaining, but now the exporters are not receiving their cargo. The reason why they're not receiving their cargo is farmers are saying they cannot submit and surrender their taxes, their PIN numbers to the exporters because this message has not come out. Because you need to have your PIN for you to be able to generate an e-teams. Then the exporter can buy from you, and when they are doing their returns, they must then be able to declare that this has come from an e-teams enabled receipt. The unfortunate bit here is that it's not possible and practical. It's expensive because now exporters have to start running another parallel system to go out there and start educating the farmers. But even as we talk about educating the farmers, the most difficult question that has not been answered is, what value has the government added to the farmer? A grandmother who has their 4 trees of avocado somewhere in Muranga or in Nyeri or in Meru or in Machakos or in Bomet or in Uasin Gishu or Kitale is being asked to produce an e-teams for their 5 trees or 4 trees or 2 trees that have ordinarily been harvesting, waited for either a broker or an aggregator or an exporter to come and buy. They are paid a little money cash and they leave. Now you're telling them they need an e-teams for that little produce to be bought from them. And it's surprising that this explanation has not come out clearly. So what have the farmers decided to do? They have decided they're not handing over the produce to our exporters. What is it happening? What is it resulting to? It has now resulted to exporters not being able to meet their production, their supply to their market out there, because the exporters sign contracts with the buyers. And if you're not able to buy and supply on time, then you're putting the Kenyan name and the exporter on the spot. Ordinarily, the Kenyan exporter goes to the farmer, contracts the farmer, buys from the farmer, aggregates, packs, and exports. And it is just-in-time business. for example, or every Thursday, a vessel, a ship leaves Mombasa to the market. And as soon as that ship leaves, the exporters start working for the next consignment, which they must deliver the cargo to Mombasa at least by Tuesday morning for them to be safe, for that cargo to be properly prepared for the market. Now, if our exporters are not able to receive produce from the farm, there is a loss to the farmer because produce is now going to the loss. There's a loss to the exporter because now the exporter is not able to meet their supply orders. There's a loss of revenue to the country because we are not able to export the long-awaited produce that brings us revenue as a country. The only industry that today is bringing revenue to this country is horticulture. And in this case, avocado is now in the main season. Last year, we got 20 billion shillings from avocado as revenue to government. This year, we anticipate to get up to almost 40 billion from avocado alone as revenue earnings to the country. Unfortunately, this is not going to be realized by government. We are also having challenges with the dollar, and this is the only time we thought we are going to be able to support government in terms of balancing the trade and in terms of bringing the dollar. But now listen, the biggest question we're asking the MPs, when the Finance Bill 2023 was tabled in Parliament, the MPs overwhelmingly supported the bill. But it looks like the MPs never read through what was in the bill. Now the very MPs who passed the bill are now telling farmers not to pay the said tax. If you're telling farmers not to pay the said tax, and yet it's already a law because it was ascended to by the president, you're telling us to break the law, which you, as parliamentarians, passed and allowed it to be accelerated and ascended to as law. What are you telling us? And now you're coming back to us and telling farmers, oh, do not pay. We're asking every farmer to ask every MP in their constituency to go back to Parliament. And this is our prayer, that Parliament amends this specific clause that is affecting the farmers from the Finance Bill 2023 to enable farmers to go back and do the business as we have always been doing. And if there's something government requires, there's a better way. We need a better stakeholder engagement to understand what does government want and how do we work together. You know, you're not strangers in this country. Kenya is our country. So if there's something our government wants to be done, the best way is the government to have an engagement with us. Speak to the industry, speak to the growers down at the bottom and discuss with the farmers at the ward level, at the county level, at the national level, and say, listen, government, this is what Kenyans, this is what we want to achieve. This is the way we desire to achieve it. And please, let's join hands and agree on the best formula. At the moment, we are getting orders and pronouncements, and all of us are confused, and yet we are such an important industry to this country. So we're asking Parliament to go back to this finance bill and amend this specific clause and allow business to proceed. Otherwise, we are losing the business, we are losing employment, we are losing revenue for our country, and most critical, the worst of all is that then we become unpredictable. It becomes difficult to plan with the market. And therefore, we are asking government, in this case, to reconsider urgently, to either suspend this particular clause as engagements are going on, or Parliament to urgently convene and consider the amending Finance Bill 2023, that this particular clause that is affecting not only the horticulture farmers, but tea farmers, coffee farmers, dairy farmers, cereals farmers, and every farmer in this country is going now to be affected. I also want to say this, particularly to the highest office in the land. Listen, this government campaigned on the platform of supporting those in the bottom of the pyramid. And these are farmers. Why has it looked like it's now a punishment to be part of this government? Why should it be that we are now dictated upon many other things, and yet we have not refused to talk? And for farmers, particularly areas like in Mount Kenya region, and all of us know in this country, we had issues with coffee, which are still being resolved. We have issues with tea. Farmers have not been getting bonuses at the right time. We have issues with macadamia that went down, and we are trying to get back the market. We have issues of cashew nuts and coconuts in the coastal region. We have issues of maize in the western region. We have issues of wheat. We have issues with our pyrethrum. We have issues literally with so many value chains. The only value chain that has been able to be resilient and has been able to go through the test of time has been horticulture. Now, as we talk, we're already having a levy we are paying to this government, 0.025 of the export value. We're paying government of FOB value, and we're paying it upfront from Nairobi, even before we sell our produce. Before we sort this and get adjusted and get to know this, now we're being told, listen, every farmer has to pay this tax, and yet casually, Parliament is saying, listen, it's good for everyone to pay. Oh, there's a turnover tax. Oh, there's all this. Who understands the turnover tax? The layman just needs to be told. In the layman language, this is what this means. This is the way you are paying it. This is the objective of it. And this is what government is going to do with the money that you are paying. Otherwise, we are being told the farmer is being supported. Which farmer is paying and putting us in this confusion of items, anything that we were asking for? No. We are saying, listen, government, for once, calm down and talk to us. Otherwise, it is not business as usual. Farming is being frustrated. Farmers are going to go to the streets. And we're going to tell farmers to go to the streets and stop all these things, because we cannot allow a government of the day that we all appreciate what the efforts that are going on. But we're saying, listen here, if government is not able to address things by sitting down with us, we will be forced to go to the streets and ask farmers to to down their tools. And ask farmers then, perhaps at that point in time, then government could reason with us. But that is not the objective. The objective here and the way of handling things is that we should all be sitting together as stakeholders in this industry and say, listen, friends, this is what we want. So we are calling on Parliament to quickly amend this bill. We are calling to the highest office in the land, the executive and the presidency, to consider this matter with a lot of urgency. Otherwise, we are losing it out. We are calling upon exporters to remain resilient and keep hope alive as we continue engaging. But most critically here is that as a country, we are an agricultural-based country. If we cannot support the export market, which is the only market that is bringing us revenue today, honestly, what else are we going to support? For Council of Governors, this is the time we are counting on you to rise up and say agriculture is devolved, but how do we engage to ensure that the very best comes out of this? And we also want to say this here and clearly that, listen, we are in competition with so many jurisdictions in the world. So every little blunder we make in this country, we are selling our market to competition. We need to get this. It's important to know that last year, we brought into this country 157 billion shillings worth of revenue. We were looking at getting beyond 160 this year. But with this frustration, and with so many avocados planted out there, farmers are threatening to uproot them. Where are we going to take the young men? Where are you going to take the women? Where are we going to take all these people? We must then come together, stakeholders, and urgently address this matter. Otherwise, it is not business as usual, and we are going to lose it as a country. And for government, this is going to be a source of insecurity, because now how are we going to feed those population? How are we going to pay that? How are we going to pay the people that we have employed as farmers? How are we going to pay the commitments that we've made with the market? How are we going to pay all these things that we have committed? How are we going to take children to school? How are farmers in Ranga, in Nyeri, in Meru, in Machakos, in Makueni, with the mangoes, with farmers from Narok, Nakuru, Eldoret, how are we going to take care of our daily bills, even in such an environment where the economy is already biting? Do we have to make things worse? Don't we have a reasoning? Can't we come together and have a position where we reason together, where we listen to each other, where we discuss and say, what do we need to do? And can communication be done clearly? This is what we would like to achieve. This is the way we like everybody involved, and this is the way we should engage.